What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny, back with another video. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Today's video, a reaction to Mr. Walter Williams, the legend. I'm trying to bring a bunch of the history from the old generation and sprinkle it through my young guns so we can keep this wisdom going and get out of this matrix that we boxed into. Walter Williams, American economist, passed away December 2020, but his message lives on. His wisdom lives on. And he was a very, very intelligent man who had a unique outlook on life, especially where he started from and where he ended up going before he ultimately ended up leaving Earth. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and please share the video if you like what you hear as we look to enlighten the masses. I'm going to play a short clip from Mr. Walter Williams on the rise of socialism here in America. And then I'll be sure to link some of his documentaries and books and stuff in the description. And I'm going to give my 2 cents on it. Okay, here we go.
Remarks to the audience. You painted a picture of the government moving in a more totalitarian or exerting more control over the lives of the American people.
Yeah.
Why do you take that view?
Well, if you ask the question, which way are we Americans headed? Tiny steps at a time. Are we headed towards more liberty, or are we headed towards more government control over our lives? And I think it's unambiguously more government control over our lives. And what that means is that as the government controls more and more our lives, we're headed towards totalitarianism. We're not there yet, but we're going there tiny steps at a time.
And how do conservatives or libertarians or those who believe in the principles of liberty and free enterprise and limited government convince the American people that those principles are in fact better for them in the long run?
Well, it's a hard job. That is, there are many Americans who benefit from various forms of government activity. That is, and when I say many Americans benefit from various forms of activity, well, they benefit from the government taking the earnings of one American and getting it to them. And so it's pretty.
And I believe that's why the story of Robin Hood has always been so popular. Steal from the rich and give from the poor. I heard that my whole childhood, and I'm sure a lot of other people have heard that as well. And the idea seems proper that you steal from the rich and give to the poor. You never step back and say, why does the poor go get their own as well, just like the rich? If we all believe in some type of God or some type of spirituality, then you understand that God wouldn't create you to suffer. You know, if God brought you into his life or in his kingdom, then everything there is for you to enjoy as a man. So you should find a way to live abundantly and get out of the scarcity mindset that I need to take from someone else, and I need to figure out how to go create my own wealth. It's a mindset.
Pretty hard sell. But I think that unless we're able to do that, then it spells doom for our country. That is, we're headed in the same way, same direction of great empires of the past. That is, we're doing the kind of things that the Romans were doing, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the French, and the British. And all those are great empires, and they went down the tubes. And
I've always said America was Rome 2.0. If you don't think so, go look up the Roman Empire yourself, and you'll be really shocked with the similarities of how things are going.
I think that if we continue, we're headed that way as well.
Now, you take an issue like poverty. What is the conservative or free market approach to poverty where the government isn't so controlling over the problem that persists in America today?
Well, I think one of the great things we can say about our country, I think one of the great things is that just because you know where a person ended up in life, you can't be sure about where he started. There's such mobility in our country, but however, we're losing it. And just one tiny example, that is, one route out of poverty is to be able to own and operate a taxi. You know, to get into, and that does not require a lot of capital. But in many places, there are licensing laws that require that you pay $500, $400, $700,000 for a license. And that's
your government regulations make a lot of things hard. When I was a kid, I remember the candy lady on the block where you go in the house and she had a ton of candy in her house. You pay 50 cents, pay $1, you get something. I remember walking to the store with my mom as a kid because we didn't have a car, and there would always be maybe 5 to 6 men sitting on the bench, and they were drivers, not like legit taxi drivers, but they had their own car. We was able to pay them $3 or $4, and they would drive us home. There was always small businesses that black men and black women was able to do on their own. I'm sure we all can type in the comments about somebody, a neighborhood candy lady or a neighborhood lady who braid hair. It was always somebody who did something without the government regulating. And now the government wants to tax all your money. I mean, with the new policies that Biden is trying to get passed, anything over $600 they want to look into. And you got to ask yourself, why does Congress make 174,000 a year? Plus, they lobbying and getting all these money from who knows different type of people just to get these certain bills passed, and they want to pay attention to every little dollar that you spend. The goal is literally to wipe out the middle class and have the have and the have nots. And because the middle class is so um, content with how things work right now, because it isn't really hurting them. They still can buy their new iPhones. They still can go to the mall on the weekends. They still can listen to Drake's new album. So it isn't hurting the mass of Americans as it will in 30 to 40 years. And because we don't think long term in America, we're very, very in the moment, in the right now, is the reason American has fallen the way it is.
It's just the tip of the iceberg. There are many areas. So if you want to help poor people, I would say, look, free up the economy, because one of the rather unique features of our country is that we have poor people who came here and became middle class and wealthy. And so we have to say, well, how can we duplicate that today? And so we need to get rid of many of the laws that cut off the bottom rungs of the economic ladder, such as the minimum wage law, occupational licensing laws.
And isn't it interesting, the same politicians that are telling you the American dream is over, the American dream is dead, are the same ones that tell you to believe in the government, and the government is your savior. Now, I don't know about you, but man, I would rather believe in my my power in the hands of another person, in the government. Look back through history, and when has the government ever looked out for its citizens? You show me a government that has took care of its people, because I can say, yeah, the Republicans sent the troops to the South, but then they made the compromise of 1877, and the South pulled out. They gave the presidency to the Republicans. Blacks got disenfranchised in the South. By 1905, all blacks was out of power. Jim Crow came along. Until 1924, the blacks could not be a part of the Democrat Party. As of 1932, you get 60% of blacks to vote Democrat because they think they're going to get something of the New Deal. As of 1936, that number increases. The KKK comes along as well. And black people have been voting Democrat since 1932, been disenfranchised for 1877. And yet here we are in 2021, and we're convinced the government is still our savior, when the government has not did anything for black people since the compromise of 18. You can literally say 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation, but you can give them a little credit for the compromise of 1877, because that's the when the troops left. So there's so many levels on this, and because we lack knowledge, we literally have been propagated into believing the people who enslaved us are now the people who are going to save us. Everything was legal through government, and it's still legal through government. I really, really believe that upward mobility is still possible in America, and the American dream is still possible. And if you ask me why, I say, well, why do we still have so many immigrants coming here? If America is dead, like the way they want natural born American citizens to think it is, why do we have so many people immigrating here on a daily basis? Swimming across water, sending their babies with random strangers, whatever it takes to get here, because they understand America is the beacon of freedom. Meanwhile, natural born American citizens can't see through the propaganda. It's like they said back in the day when they had those men, they were in the caves and all they could see is their shadows through the fire, and they thought that was real life. And one guy turned around and he tried to let them know, hey, there's more to life than this, and no one wanted to believe him. That's where we are in America today. We've been so brainwashed to think that we can't rise out of this, that we're trying to take capitalism away and replace it with socialism, not understanding that we're going to be worse off than we've ever been before.
Various kinds of regulations that cut off the bottom rungs of the economic ladder.
Now, you're teaching undergrads at George Mason University, and I think we've seen throughout the 2016 election, certainly a perception that exists out there about young people and the infatuation with socialism and $15 minimum wage and all these other policies that are kind of antithetical to what conservatives believe. What message do you have for young people today? What can you tell us or enlighten us about their thinking?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it puzzles me the kind of the numbers of young people that are flocking to Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders' message of giving out free education, free this and free that. I don't know what to say, but I say that it's a characteristic of human beings that we have a tendency to like that the most that does not belong to us. And so politicians exploit that, and I think that there's biblical admonition against that. It says, "Thou shalt not covet that which is thy neighbor's," but we are coveted.
And to piggyback off of what he just said, as humans, we all want to take the easiest route. Nobody wants to work hard. Nobody wants to Kobe Bryant. I'm up at 3 a.m. shooting jumpers and then go back to sleep and wake up 2 hours later. Nobody wants to be the Tom Brady that I change my diet 6 months on, 6 months off so I can be great at my craft. Humans are naturally lazy. And our government is able to exploit that by giving you free things. If you give a man some, what they say, you teach a man to fish, he can feed himself forever. If you feed him a fish, he comes back every day. Something along the lines. Our government has realized that our citizens are lazy. This topic of $15 an hour, my first job, man, I made $5.25 an hour plus tips. Fritz Railroad Restaurant, busboy. And I went from $5 an hour to just know I'm good now, right? But I don't get to where I am now in life without starting at $5 an hour. I don't get to where I am in life if I don't take my lawnmower and walk door to door and knock on doors and ask people do they need their grass cut. Or I'm walking around with my shovel and I'm asking people do they want me to shovel their snow. One thing that I was always taught in life from my dad and my grandfather is you don't work, you don't eat. And idle hands are the devil's work. And if you look at American society, we got a lot of idle hands in our youth. They don't know what to do with themselves no more. School isn't teaching them how to think, it's telling them what to think. And because school is telling them what to think, we all playing follow the leader, repeating the same games that have made great nations fall in the past. I really, like I said, man, I'm not one who thinks anyone in America is ignorant. I think most in America don't realize the media is propaganda. And you don't know what you don't know. And once you know better, you do better. So I personally think that this wave right now is on the socialistic kick. I don't see the generation under them falling for that. Because I don't know a bunch of young men who don't want to take care of themselves. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm an anomaly. But I don't want nobody doing anything for me. I'm a man with 2 feet, with 2 hands, a heart and a brain just like you. So anything you could do, I feel like I could do better. That's just me. I feel like I'm great at anything I can do. And I know that I'm not the only one who feels that way. Just a lot of people haven't been taught in our school system that greatness is inside of you. We're all geniuses. It's $1 million roadmap inside of every individual human. Thoughts are things, and you create your own reality. So disconnect from this system that's telling you that we need government to take care of us, and government needs to be our savior. And to top it off, I would challenge you to go read Hitler's 25-point program and see what it said about state-run schools and government being in control of everything. In America, we have the power to be free. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I want to close out every video by saying, Americans, we need to stand, because if we don't take a stand, our children and our grandchildren will be living in an environment they won't know freedom. They won't know freedom ever existed. If we don't work to keep our freedoms now, these kids right now are gonna think wearing masks is the norm. They're gonna think lockdowns is the norm. They're gonna think social distancing as the norm because we aren't using our freedom. So let me know what you think about the video. Are you a fan of Walter Williams? Do you like his message? Do you feel that government regulations are keeping the poor poor? I know my grandmother and my grandfather owned a house, owned an RV, and was able to retire and travel around America and send me a postcard from everywhere. My grandma grew up in the Jim Crow South, so I've never been able to get with excuses. But that's just my thoughts. That's just my vibe. Spread love, spread positive vibe, YouTube. Don't forget to like the video. Watch my other videos if you like what you hear. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Until next time, we are out.